Hi, this is Jeff Mann, co-host of Paul Security Weekly, and I am not coming from Black Hat Live, but we did have one talk that we couldn't squeeze in when we were out there the other week, and that was mostly because the person I'm about to interview was so busy giving talks already that he just didn't have time and also might have had a little bit of trouble with his voice. So I am pleased to introduce you today, to Tomer Bar. Tomer is the VP for research at a company called SafeBreach. Tomer, welcome.
Thank you very much.
How's your voice doing? You all recovered?
Yeah, I'm okay. I recovered.
Very good. And I hate to ask this, but did you take a COVID test when you got home, and how did you score?
This is actually a good idea, but now it's too late. I think I'm okay.
Think you're okay? It's so hard to tell what we used to call con crud coming after the week versus now it's COVID. But enough of that. Black Hat was and DEF CON, what we call Hacker Summer Camp, was a very busy week for a lot of us. A lot of fun things happening. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Tomer, and tell us a little bit about what you were doing at Black Hat that got you so busy and had you lose your voice.
Of course, I would glad to do that. So my name is Tomer Bar. I started with computers when I was a child, but only for computer games. But after I finished my first degree in computer science, I joined the Israeli government and worked for the Prime Minister office for more than a decade. After that, I worked for more than 5 years for Palo Alto Networks. I manage one of their research security group on the endpoint world and domain. And in the last 4 years, I'm running SafeBreach research. So at Black Hat, we had 3 talks at Black Hat. I spoke in 2, and we had another 2 in DEF CON the same week. So that was the reason that I lost my voice, but I will be glad to do it every year.
I'll tell you what, I did a couple of these interviews, but I was talking to people basically the whole week. I was losing my voice by Thursday or Friday. So, it happens. So what do we want to talk about? What's SafeBreach been working on? What were your talks about? What are you excited about right now?
Great. So I will start by explaining about SafeBreach. Actually, SafeBreach is the pioneer in a domain called BUS. BUS is for breach and attack simulation, and actually, it's a platform that allows large enterprises to understand their real security posture by simply running attacks in a safe manner, and they can see if their multi-million security controls that cost a lot of money can detect and block each attack. And of course, the ones that are missed are the most interesting, and they can have understanding of what happened, what went wrong, and how to fix it. And usually people ask, okay, so it's like a pen test, but I think that it's like there are similarities, but the main difference is that a pen test is usually done once or once a while. And BUS provide our customers to do it in a continuous process and to spot drift. So maybe last week it was okay and all attacks were blocked, and today all of them are still blocked. But let's say something happened today and someone, I don't know, there was a business need and someone changed the firewall rules to allow some connections and forgot to close it. And when the attack runs today, we'll find out a drift and we'll find out that it was missed and it was successful. So we'll understand in real time that we have a problem and need to fix it. So I think it's in general, this is how breach and attack simulation can help our customers. Regarding Black Hat, sorry.
Mm-hmm. Oh, go ahead.
Regarding Black Hat, we are monitoring different threat groups from all around the globe and understanding their mindsets, their techniques, and we mimic them as close as possible in our safe attacks. It's important because of course, you don't want to run the exact attack. You don't want to just run ransomware, real ransomware in customers' production environment because it will harm them, and we don't want to do that. But the other way is also important because if our simulation won't be close enough to the real threat, they might get some false feeling of security because they will think, okay, all of the simulation were blocked, we are safe, but when the real attack will arrive, if it won't be close enough, the simulation, it might bypass their security controls, and we don't want this false sense of security. So this is very important. And beside that, we are doing original research, not just monitoring the things that are going in the wild. We are doing our own research on everything that is like important and significant. We just celebrated our 40 zero-day report on discovery. Of course, we work with all vendors in a responsible disclosure process. We report about our findings, sharing all of our finding and knowledge and how to fix the vulnerability with Microsoft, leading EDRs, Dell, AWS, significant vendors. And after they fix the vulnerabilities and close them, then we release attacks, exclusive attacks in our platform, so our customers will be able to test if their environment are safe or not. So, for example, one of the research was called Defender Pretender. We call it that way because we analyze Defender, a very sensitive process, the ones that are in charge of getting the updates, the signature updates. So let's say there is a new threat, a new ransomware, for example. So Microsoft analyze it and generate a signature to detect it. And in order that all of the endpoints around the world and server, or any Windows machine in the world will detect it, they will need to update it. And so each agent just download a file from the internet, from Microsoft Cloud, and then the update run, and then it will be able to detect the new threat. And we found out that all 6 files involved in this update process are digitally signed, which is very good. But we found out that Microsoft forgot to validate that all of the files are digitally signed in the entire in all the steps of the update. So we leverage this finding to update Defender with our own database, signature database, which was unsigned from the weakest user without permission, unprivileged user, and we're able to insert, edit, modify, or delete any signature. So the attack vectors are versatile. For one example, the simplest one is to remove all the signatures of a specific threat. So, for example, Mimicats, we can remove all the Mimikatz signature. Mimikatz is a very common tool to extract user credentials from a process in Windows that store those credentials, and you can get all of the passwords of all users. So when we removed Mimikatz signatures, we can run the exact common in the wild Mimikatz, the known one, and bypass Microsoft Defender. We can also add our own signature and say this benign signature or set of characters are malicious. And we found out that all of the executables in Windows since the 80s, since the first version of Windows all around the world, contains a specific unique strings at the beginning of each executable. So we told Defender that this string, these characters are actually malicious. And after a few seconds, Defender tried to delete and succeeded in deleting all of the files in the operating system. So the drivers, the OS files. So it led to denial of service because Windows cannot operate without those critical files. And of course, you can also delete user data, administrator data, even from the weakest user. Let's say you want to delete all of the files that could contain a specific word, like news or SafeBreach or DEFCON, Black Hat, or anything like that. You can just add a signature that says Black Hat is malicious, and from that point, Defender will delete it. So this is just one example.
Interesting. Great. Well, I appreciate you giving us that recap of what you guys were doing at Black Hat. I want to back up a little bit and let's talk about the breach and attack simulation just as a thing. I'm curious. You mentioned initially how it's similar and yet different from a pen test. I'm curious in terms of organizations that are out there and they're conducting business on the internet. What are you seeing as the best companies that can get the most use out of breach and attack simulation? Do you have opinions on maturity level, when a company's ready for it? Are there things that they should be doing beforehand before they do breach and attack simulation, or do you see breach and attack simulation as some way better than or more appropriate than more or less traditional security practices, let's say, that some of us old timers might have been trying to educate companies for decades, and maybe they're getting it and maybe they're not. But just talk to me a little bit about the philosophy and the methodology of breach and attack simulation for a few moments.
Okay, so it's a great question. First of all, it's like fit to any customer in any industry. So it's not limited to financial or manufacturing. It will fit to all of them. But I must say that it usually fit more to large enterprise where they have staff that can run the simulation, and you have to prepare. It's like very easy installation. You just need to analyze and understand your environment, the different parts. So you have like the delimiter zone where usually all the application that needs web front. So let's say the web server and the file transfer protocol servers and the email servers, all the services that need access from the world will be in one zone. And there is the internal network, which usually is connected to the internet. So in some organization, there is another production network, and then the network itself is like divided into segments and different zones. So you need to have a good understanding of your architecture and where to put and install our simulator. The simulator is a basic agent that can play the two different roles. It can play from one side the attacker, and it can also play the victim. So after the organization, usually together with us, decided where to place those agents, they can decide which attack to run from each agent to the other. And let's say you are interested in the full kill chain, you can run attack from outside, from the cloud, from outside of the organization to the agent in the DMZ. From there, attack from the DMZ to the internal internet, to the other computers, to other segments, and to the crown jewels of this organization. Sometimes it's the source code, sometimes it's like a formula, or sometimes it's the secrets of the organization or the production process. If it's an OT environment, where it's a production like producing electricity or other gas pipelining, water pipelines, or whatever. So to conclude, I think that it's like fit to any organization. It will better fit large organizations that have experts that can run the attack, and then after they run the attack from each point, they get the results, and they can understand the results and fix what needs to be fixed.
So we talk a lot on our show about breaches and various companies that have been victimized, and we often talk, and related to pen testing as well. We often talk about findings and remediations, and something that we've been talking about lately is we keep falling, at least I do, is we keep falling back on most of the breaches that occur out there. If you do a root cause analysis, it often comes back to some sort of process failure. I'm sure you're familiar with the elements of data security being people, process, and technology. I'm curious as to how well your solution or in general breach and attack simulations address and look for not just the vulnerability or the misconfiguration that might be out in the environment, but how well does it track process failures? And then on the flip side, when something has been discovered, to what extent do you say, this system had a patch that should have been installed 6 months ago, but do you tie that to you really should look into your patch management process because something's not working? Can you speak to that a little bit?
Of course. I think that I will explain it by the difference between this new breach and attack simulation techniques to the old pen test and red teaming. So let's say there is let's say the attacker starts always from remote, and there is he's starting from point A. He will try to reach point B, C, D until Z. For traditional pen test, if you will fail from to get from A to B, usually you won't understand and get the understanding of what will happen if the attacker will succeed in going from A to B, right? Because you don't have any access to point B, so you won't be able to understand what could have happened from that and where are the vulnerabilities and gaps there. But because we have agents, and breach and attack simulation works like that, have agent in each point in A and B and C. So even if the attack from point A to B did not succeed, the attacks from B to C and so on will run, and you will have all the information. So after gathering all the information, without depending on if all of the previous attacks succeeded, then you can get a lot of data, and we gather all of these findings into insights, so that our customers can get insights on the eye level and not just on the technical details themselves, which they are also provided with, but they can understand if there are where are their main gaps. If it's the email security, the web security, their endpoint security, network security, cloud, container security, and so on. So they have a high level, and our remediation approach is to give them ability to close as much as security holes in just a single action as possible. So we'll give them an insight into, you have a problem in configuration of firewalls. The firewalls is not configured well because of reason ABC, and you need to fix it by changing this and that. So the mitigation are very specific, but also are in eye level.
Great. Well, Tomer, that's going to wrap us for today. I sure missed having the chance to sit with you in person. Maybe we can do it again next year. We'll just have to budget our time better. For our listening audience, if you want to learn more about SafeBreach, you can go to securityweekly.com/SafeBreachBH. That's for Black Hat. And for all the live interviews that we did and the one almost live interview that we did at Black Hat, you can go to securityweekly.com facebook.com/Black Hat. So that is officially a wrap for Black Hat 2023. Thanks for listening and watching.